From WMTW-TV, where the news comes first, this is News 8 at 11.
And welcome back to News 8 at 11. I'm Tori Ryden.
I'm John Camp. Martha Stewart in Boothbay today, helping promote the first Antiques in the Gardens show.
And earlier tonight, hundreds got a sneak peek at the antiques on display. They also got an up-close look at and talk with Martha Stewart, the honorary chair of the Maine Antiques Dealers Association, along with the Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens, are hosting the event. There she is, Martha Stewart. She has a home on Mount Desert Island. She says this show truly shows off all that Maine has to offer.
Not only are the antiques amazing and so many wonderful dealers, many are friends of mine I've made over the years, but to see the beginnings of this wonderful, wonderful garden here on the coast of Maine is really special.
And by the way, Kelly Preston, you know, the wife of John Travolta, they have a house here in Maine. She was also there tonight. More than 45 exhibitors are participating in the show, which runs from 9 until 4 tomorrow. Tickets are still available.
News 13 at 11 o'clock. Breaking news, breaking weather, breaking stories.
Well, one of Maine's most well-known summer residents made a rare public appearance in the state today in honor of the Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens in Boothbay.
Yeah, we're of course talking about Martha Stewart. She was the honorary chairwoman for Antiques in the Garden. That's a collaboration between the Gardens and the Maine Antique Dealers Association. Stewart's love of Maine is something she often shares with her readers and viewers. She started coming to the state years ago, she says, and says it has a unique natural beauty about it and a lifestyle that quickly has grown on her.
I had no idea about this, 30 years ago before I started coming on a regular basis, like 1 week a year to Maine. And when I came up to Mount Desert Island 10 years ago, almost to the day, some friends of mine, I was visiting some friends in August, and they said, would you like to see this beautiful house, the most beautiful house in Maine? And I said, oh yeah, of course. I'm always ready to see anything that's beautiful.
I am Bev Reynolds.
Stewart, by the way, wound up buying that property on Mount Desert Island. And News 13's Kim Block today spoke one-on-one with Stewart. We'll have more of that interview for you coming up in the next few days. Kim also spoke exclusively with actress Kelly Preston, of course, the wife of actor John Travolta, who also has a summer home right here in Maine. Stay tuned for that.
From WCSH 6, this is 207.
But first tonight, she is a business magnate, author, and television host. But more than anything, she is the ultimate homemaker. Martha Stewart is one of a handful of people known just by one name, Martha. She took a small catering business from the basement of her home and turned it into a multi-million-dollar empire. Martha has a home here in Maine in Bar Harbor. And yesterday I caught up with her at Antiques in the Garden, an event that she is honorary chair for at the Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens.
Well, today I am here as honorary chairperson for the Maine Antique Dealers Antique Show, which is being held in the beautiful Botanical Gardens and in Boothbay Harbor. A newly established botanical garden, the first ever in Maine, on about a mile of gorgeous coastline.
Have you been involved with the development
No,
of this?
I haven't, but I am so enthusiastic about what's happening here.
How come?
Well, I'm a gardener, and the preservation of species, the information that a botanical garden disperses to all the visitors is essential to keeping biodiversity alive, keeping plant species known and liked and loved and planted. And people, last year I think 35,000 visitors. And it was their first year that they were open, and this year it's approaching 50,000. That's wonderful.
This is a big deal.
This will be a big tourist attraction for Maine, and an important tourist attraction.
If I could ask your advice on gardening, Maine has such a short season. What would be your tips? I know you learned to garden from your father.
It's a short season, but it is a spectacular season. Flowers seem brighter. The blooms seem bigger. I think the long days, the short nights, the cool nights really help plants thrive here in the short growing season. I have delphiniums in my own garden up in Mount Desert Island that are the most beautiful, tallest, most voluptuous delphiniums I've ever grown. It's Maine. It's so fantastic.
I know you learned to garden from your father.
Yes, I did.
Was it plants or was it vegetables, both?
Oh, both. Both. And trees, and fruit trees.
And what were the tips? What were the best tips that he gave you?
Well, my father was like a Native American, okay? And he wasn't, but he was like one. He was a very avid fisherman. So the mackerel, the 120 mackerel that he caught at a time in his 16-foot skiff that he took out in the Shrewsbury River, he would bring them home, he would gut them and clean them right into the garden. Every tomato plant had a fish head. And every tomato plant made 4-pound tomatoes. Yeah.
And Jersey tomatoes are good.
Very good, because that's a long, hot growing season. That's very different from Maine. But my vegetables here in Maine are crunchy and green, and I've learned a lot from a very fine gardener, Elliot Coleman. Do you know Elliot?
I don't.
Oh.
You know,
yes,
actually,
you
I know his daughter.
Yeah,
I know his daughter very well, Melissa.
Yes. Well, no, you should get to know Elliot, because he and his wife, Damrosch, her last name is Damrosch, they
Barbara,
are,
I believe, right?
Pardon?
Barbara, I believe.
Barbara
yes,
Damrosch.
Yes.
They are the gardens extraordinaire of Maine. They are organic. They garden all year round with very little fossil fuel, and they are extraordinary. And the vegetables are exemplary.
Tell me also your other love here today are the antiques.
Oh, yeah.
Now people would think, oh, this is a small time. What is she doing here at this particular show?
Maine dealers are traditionally very educated, very astute dealers. They find very beautiful things. The selection is usually quite extraordinary, and it's tradition here in Maine, the dealing in antiques. And I find lots of treasures up here.
In Maine?
Oh, yes.
Can you think of just a couple of finds that you've had right here in Maine?
Oh, yeah. I've found some amazing china, amazing pottery, wonderful garden ornaments, because there have been very wonderful homes built here in Maine, and they use lots of garden ornamentation. So you can find some real treasures here.
And do you find that it's kept well?
Oh, yeah. I think people are really appreciative of the old as well as of the new here. They know value, and in Maine there's been a lot of collectors. I think also with the summer visitors, a lot of beautiful homes were built, and beautiful things were put into those homes.
What would be your advice to someone who thinks, well, I don't really know what to look for in a true antique?
Well, in a show like this, which is a vetted show, I think the dealers can be very helpful. If you see something that just appeals to you and says, oh, I should be yours, talk to the dealers, get their opinion, see if it's a collectible, see if it's something that will grow in value, that it isn't at the height of its value. So for beginning collectors, there are still lots and lots and lots of things to latch onto with interest and to collect.
And are you supposed to haggle over the price?
I don't know. I don't know if you should or shouldn't. It's what feels good to you. If you have only $10 and the thing is $12, ask.
And now we also asked Martha for some tips. Her best time saver in the kitchen is sharp knives, and that if she could plant only one thing in her Maine garden, what would it be? She said delphiniums. Antiques in the Garden continued today. It raised money for the Maine Antique Dealers Association and the Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens. For more information on both organizations and on Martha Stewart, visit the 207 section of our website. And while you're there, you might want to check out our latest blog. I wrote about interviewing Martha Stewart. Let's just say it was efficient. Read the blog to see what I mean. You can find our blogs these days by clicking on the blog tab at the top of our homepage.